I think home is a funny concept because, you know, where's your home? Is it where your family is? Is it where your friends are? Is it where you feel most yourself? I don't think I have an answer to where home is.
Before I moved here full time, I had been to New York many times. It wasn't super surprising to me coming and actually living here.
New York, oh God, New York is the most amazing city in the world, I think.
New York is a place where everyone's like always moving, going, people have some place to be. It's lots of crowds, lots of people, lots of lack of personal space. People can act sometimes pretty rough. It's a bit of a rough place to be if you're not from here.
Somewhere that I expected to feel really intimidated, and I don't at all. I feel really welcome here. When I first came here, I just walked around with my mouth open all the time in amazement, because it's not like anywhere else on earth. The way that New York's built is really beautiful, I guess, like in its own very, very modern kind of city way. You know, it's not a landscape. I come from Scotland. It's not a landscape like Scotland where you have rolling hills and beautiful scenery. It's all man-made and built up, and I would expect to hate that, but there's something so artful in the way that it's been put together that I really appreciate, and I spent my whole time just kind of looking around aghast at the city.
I'm not from here. I'm from Chicago, which is another really big city. So I definitely wanted to meet new people, which is hard to do in New York City. It's hard to meet people. Despite the fact that there are people all around you, it's hard to actually become friends with people that you don't know.
I think it's so important to meet new people when you come to a new city on your own. I came here myself, and I've never done that before. I've never lived anywhere else other than my home city.
I tried to meet people through a variety of ways. I think I always encourage people to like get involved in things they care about.
And I was really intimidated and worried that I would be lonely, because I don't really like being alone.
Whether it's like a running club or a knitting club. There's a male knitting club in New York. Crazy. So there's all these different kinds of like activity groups, I guess, or interest groups in the city, and to get involved in those kind of like smaller elective kind of communities where you share a common interest.
I've met filmmakers, I've met drag queens, I've met musicians. On the whole, people are really glad when you come up and speak to them and you spark up a conversation, because they're probably by themselves too. Like, the city gives me the courage to do that, to go out and just meet new people and start talking to people. And if they don't want to talk to you, then you can move on somewhere else. So.
A lot of my friends came from work, but then some of my friends came from a church I go to. So the church I go to in New York is called Hillsong, and it's a big global church. They have locations everywhere. But they have a location in New York, and I knew I'd been there before when I'd visited New York. They have a group that meets on, like, different groups that meet throughout the city that are like people your age, and typically like female specific or male specific groups. They call it connect groups. So it's just like groups of people who, like, they're trying to make a really big church, because it's a huge church, smaller. I joined a group that met every Saturday at this hotel near Washington Square Park, and we just like get coffee in this like hotel lobby and talk about our lives. It's more just to like get to know people and to not feel so alone, and to have someone to sit with at church. I'm closer to some people more than others, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a community for me to belong to.
There's a friendship app that you can use on your phone, and the idea of that really freaked me out at first, because it kind of feels a bit like internet dating, where you're meeting a complete stranger that you don't know. Everybody's had that experience of a bad date. one way or another, but I have absolutely no experience of meeting a friend through an app. But I used one friendship app called Bumble, and I met a girl from Austria who loves going out to gigs and clubs, see live music like I do. She was really, really nice, but I was so intimidated going to meet her because I was worried that I wouldn't get along with her, and she was lovely. So we go out all the time now. We were in the park on Sunday, and we're going to the cinema this weekend, and we've been to 2 clubs already, and I even would consider using an app like that back home as well, because you know, it's like, why would we limit ourselves to the people that you just happen to pass? Like, you know, there's a whole world of people out there that you could meet.
I think I do feel home in New York, sometimes less than others, but for the most part I feel like I definitely have built a life here, and I would miss it if I left. But I also feel like part of my life is still in Chicago, and I also feel like part of my life is still in Washington, D.C., where I went to college. So I really feel like I can feel home in a lot of different places.
I left my home city because I was looking for something and I didn't really know what I was looking for, but I wasn't happy in a really full way. You know, I'm happy in a lot of ways, but I always felt like there was something more. Yeah, I came to New York searching for answers, and I found them, and I'm really happy about that. Really happy.
When I left for college, I went far from home. So they all went to schools with each other, and I went to a school that was with no one. It kind of put us in 2 different paths. They're all more similar to each other now than I am. I feel like now that I'm in New York, I also feel like I'm surrounded by more people who are like me than my friends from home.
I guess one of the things, you know, with my friends at home, we're so similar. We're always kind of like kept ourselves at the same level almost deliberately because we wanted to have that in common, and we wanted to, and I think it reaches a point in your life, you know, I'm 27 now, where you have to sort of detach, in the same way that you detach yourself from your parents, you have to detach yourself from some of your close friends, because actually it can be both a blessing and a curse to have friends that close, because it can stop you from maybe going on and doing things that are a little bit different and out of your comfort zone. The difference between now and my past is that I always held myself back. Like, fear has always held me back. So I've always wanted to do this so badly, but I couldn't quite get there. And now that I've done it, it's like, oh wait a minute, this is great.
I feel home in a big city like New York when I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that I really care about. So it doesn't really have anything to do with location, and it has everything to do with like the people around you.
Imagine this was your last day. Like, are you doing something fun? Are you enjoying it? And the answer is yes. I'm in New York. It's expensive and it's crazy, but it's my dream to be here, and I'm here. And if I get hit by a bus or a yellow taxi tomorrow in the street, I'll have done something that I really wanted to do. And I feel like it's not so much about being at home, it's about feeling alive, you know, to me.